And the river said, "Here, take this old heart cypress and pine timbers that have been resting in my waters for 200 years, lost from rafts carrying them downstream during the building of colonial America. I have no need for them, but they have been good boarders and have caused me no trouble. So do something wonderful with them. Give them a good life." And old South Carolina textile mills, once the icons, the heartbeats of their communities, are now consigned to memory. But the bricks that made up their walls and the maple that made up their floors have been given new life, a second chance. And cobblestones, put down as pavers on the Baltimore waterfront in the 1700s, no longer feel the weight of horses' hooves and carriage wheels, but they too have been granted the opportunity to serve in another way. Mother Nature has been very generous to us who inhabit the earth, providing us with food and materials for clothing and shelter. But we have not always been good stewards of those gifts. We have become a throwaway society, using materials to satisfy a need and then consigning them to the trash heap of history. But not always. Not here. We have resurrected those seemingly no longer useful materials into something wonderful indeed. We took them and built ourselves a home. A place we call the Treehouse, built with reclaimed brick and wood and stone, going back over 100 years and more. It is set in Palmetto Bluff on the banks of the May River in the low country of South Carolina, a community that also honors the past and the environment, and where people live in harmony with the magnificent surroundings. The live oaks, dressed in Spanish moss, standing as they have for a century and more. And the bald cypress trees, the maritime forest, and the marshes where the herons and marsh hens coexist with oysters and blue crabs. While in the river itself, dolphin frolic and feed, and tarpon, red drum, flounder, and spotted sea trout make frequent visits. The live oak that fronts our home had a say in its construction. If built according to plans, the lower limbs would interfere with the roof, or more importantly from our standpoint, the roof would interfere with the limbs. So we changed the plans and lowered the roof line, and we built the home on stilts to preserve the tree's root structure. When you step into our home and into history, you first set foot on the front entry steps, handmade clay bricks that once served the Lancaster cotton mill, and they now labor too in the home's exterior fireplace and courtyard. The front door is extremely rare river-reclaimed Pecky cypress and heart pine, with the widest pieces of this precious cypress used to adorn the walls and ceiling of the library, while spalted cypress makes up the library's floor. The river brought us heart cypress too, enough to serve as exterior siding for the house and guest quarters. And this is a chestnut tree, rarely seen outside of encyclopedias, since it fell to an incurable disease in the early 20th century. But pre-blight chestnut can still be found guarding entrances to the library and master bedroom. Handmade doors reclaimed from a 19th century New England government building. If you listen carefully in that master bedroom, you may hear the hum of mill machinery at work, turning out yard after yard of cotton fabrics. The bedroom's floor and ceiling are made with extremely rare curly and tiger-striped antique maple. And within the wood, old cotton oils and metal shavings called travelers that fell from the machines now lie safely embedded just beneath the surface, giving this 100-year-old lumber a rich, rustic look which cannot be reproduced by its modern-day counterpart. And what of those cobblestones that once paved the Baltimore waterfront? The fireplace is their new place of residence. And the steel garden gate? Another refugee from that New England building. If these walls could talk, and ceilings and floors too, they would tell you much about the rich history of America, about the colonists who shaped this country, about the mills and mill families who provided the clothes Americans wore. about the harbor in Baltimore, and the cobblestones that were there when Francis Scott Key wrote our national anthem. They would tell you something else, too, that what is old can be new again, if we are good stewards of the precious resources nature has provided us. And if nothing else, this treehouse stands as a shining example of reclaimed materials put to good use. Very good use indeed.